Well, if you thought it couldn't get crazier, surprise, it's getting crazier. Alberta is actually going through with the process of referendum, but they're not the only ones. Dun, dun, dun. Turns out Saskatchewan is next on that list, which honestly, I can't say that I didn't see it coming because I kind of did, but it's still a bit of a surprise. So yeah, we're going to be taking a look at that along with some other news about Pierre Poilievre and the fat pig with rabies, Doug Ford. Mentality, of course. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps out tremendously. It's probably the best way to help out this channel. But if you want to take it a step further, there is a join button down below to be part of the membership program, as well as many other links to merchandise and other social media accounts and yada yada yada. But without further ado, let's get right into this video, starting off with the premiere, specifically the East Coast New Brunswick Premier.
Just a few days following the Canadian election, New Brunswick's Premier is wasting no time telling Ottawa what the priorities are for her province.
In the years to come, we will be impressing upon him and his team how New Brunswick is unique and how we have needs that our partners of the federal government need to understand in order to build the kind of policies and partnerships that will best serve this province.
A letter sent to the Prime Minister's office today outlines several key points, including healthcare.
You know who she reminds me of? I just thought about it now. Chandler Bing, is that you? Oh my God, it's been on my mind for weeks. Oh, Janice from Friends. That's what it is.
Immigration and housing, but top of the list is nation-building projects.
Canada is a big country, and New Brunswickers want access to it, as well as we want Canada's resources to have access to New Brunswick.
Holt's letter highlights the ports of St. John and Belledune and the roles they can play in getting New Brunswick goods to new markets. Port St. John CEO Craig Bell Estabrook says the new Prime Minister looks eager to grow Canadian ports like his.
We're very excited to learn more about the $5 billion infrastructure fund that he announced during the campaign at the Port of Montreal, seeing how that rolls out. Supply chain, logistics, trade, resiliency, these were all main topics, and I think there's going to be so much focus in the coming months and opportunity that we can provide at Port St. John to be a part of that.
Part of ensuring the Southern Port's optimal performance is the redevelopment of a well-known West Side St. John intersection, Sims Corner. The crossing is only getting busier with increased train traffic and an over $1 billion upgrade to the neighboring Irving Pulp and Paper Mill. The province has committed to seeing the intersection redone and hopes Ottawa will follow.
That is a prime example of a trade corridor and the infrastructure that supports the movement of goods into other countries and to other provinces. So we expect to see them at the table for that one.
Todd,
oh my God, Mark Carney, is that you? I'm so sorry. I feel like I've just shattered a glass, and now every single time anyone watching this video sees that woman in the future, I'm sorry for ruining your eyes to that, but it's been on my mind for weeks. But getting back to the story at hand, I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments about the East Coast increasing their infrastructure for marine. Now let's take a look here at Alberta, and specifically Danielle Smith, and how you have people that are saying, Danielle, stop calling for separatism, but it's already in motion. So here we go.
The province of Alberta in line. That's the demand of Prime Minister Mark Carney. It comes in a new letter signed by a pair of First Nation chiefs. The letter arrives after the Alberta government introduced legislation.
Hold on a second. Chief Sheldon Sunshine. Yo, I ain't related to that person. I'll tell you that. I'm just putting that out there. I don't know who that is. Good to see Uncle Sheldon. I'm just kidding. No relation.
The letter arrives after the Alberta government introduced legislation that would make it easier for citizens to start referendums, including one on separation.
I now move first reading of Bill 54.
Premier Danielle Smith also received a letter. Chiefs Billy Joe Tuckerow and Sheldon Sunshine accuse her of violating treaty rights by trying to manufacture a national unity crisis.
We respect all of the treaty rights that are enshrined in the Constitution under Section 35. And the Citizen Initiative Act is not new legislation, and it was never designed to, nor does it breach treaty agreements.
Smith pushed back against the letter Thursday, saying Bill 54 does not necessarily amount to her encouraging an independence vote.
I can see that the media is trying to describe this legislation as something it's not. It's a citizen initiative change that any petition can come forward.
The Premier met with the media to announce an appeal of Ottawa's net zero power regulations. She says she's heard from separatists, but is vowing to fight Liberal policies from within Canada. Shortly after, Smith.
By the way, if anybody has a piece of land in Alberta that they want to sell me so I can get in on this, I'm down 100%. I'm on board with that movement. Absolutely. Get the heck off the island. Become independent. Let's go. Canada has screwed over Alberta too many times. So if anyone's got like a house or land in Alberta, hit me up. Chances are I'll take it very seriously.
Finished speaking inside the legislature, small groups gathered outside to call for Alberta independence.
Because we have been abused for many years, like the equalization and stuff like that. So, yeah.
A recent poll found that 30% of Albertans are also interested in leaving Canada. The NDP is also accusing Smith of stoking the separatism movement with her national unity threat and policies distancing Alberta from Ottawa.
We need the Premier to say no to separatism. We need her to stay firm and say that she stands with the Chiefs, that Alberta will never be separated from the rest of Canada.
If you don't believe in Canada and you are a tiny, tiny fringe minority, then this government is spending too much time on you already.
And it looks like he was hibernating a bunch of nuts in his mouth. That made a lot. That wasn't that dirty in my mind when I said it, but it looks like he's a chipmunk hibernating with a bunch of nuts. Anyways, I should stop interrupting.
The Premier told City News she is willing to meet with the Chiefs.
We have a very good relationship with them.
Her Indigenous Relations Minister said the same.
The emotions are high right now after the election. I think if we just let things cool down and people settle down and see what's really going to happen, that it's probably not going to be as bad as some people are thinking or some people aren't.
The Chiefs letter said the Premier and anyone else unhappy living in Canada is welcome to leave their traditional lands. From Edmonton, Shauna.
Wow. Well, it is a citizen movement, and it's too big to stop now. Too big to rig. And just to kind of show you how big it's getting, let's take a look at this. So this is on change.org. Some of these petitions go back as far as 2019 with 218,000 signatures. I mean, that's absolutely insane. I love the West Coast. I love the island, but man, stuff out here is it's kind of whack. It's kind of whack. And I think a lot of people, a lot of conservatives really view Alberta as the last kind of stronghold of this country. So I'm serious. Anyone's got land out there, any developers out there that are doing good and pricing their homes in abundance for developing in order to combat the housing crisis and in order to aim towards affordable housing, hit me up. Seriously, developers, I don't care, man. Let's get something going because we really need to start looking after each other. And here's where it gets very interesting. It's not just Alberta that's talking about it. It's also Saskatchewan, man. Here we go. You got Mo says that he's Canadian, but wouldn't stop vote on Saskatchewan separating from Canada. So again, very strategic way of putting it. You can't be the premier and say, well, we're going to separate, because that's what Quebec did. And it doesn't really go over that well. Also, you can't promote the fact of separatism. But if there is a initiative within the community to say, let's do a massive petition and separate and get the heck out of here, the premiers do have an obligation to take it seriously, especially when it's in big time numbers. And so we might actually be seeing history for the first time. Alberta, Saskatchewan, and I know this is a crazy stretch, but I'm going with Newfoundland and Labrador also would be third, because America's always wanted that piece of land because it's the last big stop before Greenland. And Trump's been saying some pretty crazy things about Greenland. So, yeah, kind of crazy. Let's take a look here at the Globe and Mail article about it. Mo says he's Canadian, but wouldn't stop vote on Saskatchewan separating from Canada. He has to say it that way. Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe says he's a true Canadian, but wouldn't stop a public vote on separating from Canada if it came forward. One heck of a way to start the initiative. I mean, no, he didn't start it. Of course not. He just has to abide by what the people want. Go out and vote for that. Residents are allowed to trigger provincial legislation for a plebiscite on the issue, Mo told reporters Thursday. Why would you condemn Saskatchewan people that might have an opinion? I'm not about condemning people, he said. We very much believe there is a path forward to work with the new Prime Minister on ensuring that Saskatchewan can have a growing, vibrant economy within a strong and united Canada. Heck no, there isn't, dude. The devil himself won. And I said this previously. It would look really bad for Mark Carney, the new Liberal Prime Minister, if in his first year, his first 12 months of being Prime Minister, if not only one, but two provinces went through referendum and succeeded, or even just reaching the point of triggering referendum. So, yeah, that's never happened. This is unprecedented, and it goes to show that this conservative movement is stronger than ever, even though the election didn't go as planned. Two provinces at the same time putting forward the same thing about separating. Come on, man. We've never seen this before. Last time was in 95 with Quebec. This time it's in 2025 with two provinces. Maybe Quebec capitalizes on this too. Saskatchewan law allows the public to bring forward a petition as long as 15% of eligible voters sign on. That's it, dude. Easy peasy. Somebody start the petition. We gotta look after our resources. Man, if somebody's got land to sell me in Saskatchewan, do hit me up. Oh, we're going to be part of the great republic of Alberta, Saskatchewan. This is incredible. It's crazy that it's even here as a reality, as a very possible outcome. Opposition NDP leader Clara Beck, Clara, questioned Mo about whether he would condemn those who want to separate from Canada. She accused his Saskatchewan party government of pandering to separatist sentiments following Prime Minister Mark Carney's election win Monday for the Liberals. It's something that should be shot down early and immediately. It's bad for jobs, it's bad for investment, and it's bad for the future, she told the Legislative Assembly. Of course she did. She's a radical NDP. It's incredibly reckless that what we're seeing right now, she said. Mo has said he's willing to start fresh with the new federal government and work together to develop energy projects in the province. He's called on Carney to scrap clean energy regulations and emission caps for oil and gas. That's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. We have not given up on the role and opportunities Saskatchewan can play in our federation. And I truly believe that our new Prime Minister has certainly not given up on Saskatchewan's opportunity to be a part of this nation, Mo said. That's just Mo being Mo and doing politics. Nah, the feds don't care about Alberta and Saskatchewan. They don't care about hard workers. They care about suits and ties and money from where? From China. They don't care about hard-working blue-collar folk in this country. We've seen it time and time again. We've seen it. The government in Saskatchewan is not interested in separation, and the government in Saskatchewan certainly isn't interested in the status quo, he said. It is not a strawman argument where it is a status quo or separation. Mo accused New Democrats of suppressing the public's ability to have a say by not allowing a website or a petition on the matter. The important thing is that citizens do have an avenue to have their own voice heard, he said. If those particular benchmarks are met in this province, the citizens of this province will have their voices heard. So this is him in his position, just like Danielle Smith is, to say, hey, there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. And I don't condemn the wrong way, or I do condemn the wrong way. And if the right way is met, then I have to take it seriously. We got to read between the lines here, folks. They will be okay with separating. I mean, not okay, but okay, if you know what I mean. I do not believe that Saskatchewan should hold a referendum on separating from the country, she said, the NDP radical. Concerns of separation have also flared up in Alberta, where Premier Danielle Smith has been accused of stoking the issue. Smith's government has proposed legislation that would make it easier for citizens to call for referendum by bringing down the vote count from like 700,000 or 800,000 down to like 170, 180, 190 ish. She has said it would be up to Albertans, not her government, to put the separation question on a ballot. So there you go. If we read just a teeny weeny between the lines, it really seems like this is a go. Like this can actually happen. And all we need is someone somewhere to start the petition, and we're good to go as long as it gets numbers. So now let's take a look here at Global News's video about Western separation.
It was a night of celebration for Conservatives in Lethbridge, but nationally, the vote went Liberal.
I'm glad Mark Carney got in, and
I bet you are.
It's a Liberal government and not the Conservatives.
But it's a cause for concern for some Lethbridge voters.
We're $1.2 trillion in debt, and every day the debt goes up by $109 million.
An outcome like this would typically trigger conversations over Western separation, though not everyone agrees with Alberta independence.
I'm not happy about it. I don't want to do it.
I don't think it's a good idea. Canada is Canada, and all the provinces need to work more constantly together and support each other and make things work as a country, not as individual islands.
The question really is, does that sentiment, is that reflective, or does that speak for the majority of the population of the province? And I don't think that's the case.
Analyst Lars Hallström says Alberta needs to find new ways to work with the federal government.
To really understand where we actually sit in a way that goes beyond the more traditional listing of grievances with Ottawa, I think we need to move into a new policy space that moves beyond the language of reparations, but one more of confederation and asymmetrical federalism, and seeing where Alberta fits into that.
However, some Albertans think separation can still be used as a bargaining chip to help create a more Quebec-like Alberta.
I mean, Alberta's really they're holding up a lot of the country with their money, and I don't think it's right.
Justin Sibbett, Global News.
Well, that's the whole point of separation, is because they are propping up the rest of the country, and it's getting extremely annoying. And I would be just as equally annoyed if somebody were to please sell me a piece of land or a developer to get in touch so I could be a part of this history in the making. I got a lot of voters coming with me, my wife, probably my mom, her husband. Like, there's a whole whack of us, and I got a lot of other people that will gladly come. So please, developers, reach out. All right, now let's take a look here at the fat pig with rabies mentality. I have to say that for legal reasons, or else CTV is going to accuse me of being a right-wing extremist. Although I am wanting to join the separatist group, so we're already there. Screw it, it's not a mentality. He's a fat pig with rabies. Here we go.
I shouldn't interfere in the federal election. Last time I checked, Pierre Poilievre never came out in our election. Matter of fact, him or one of his lieutenants told every one of his members, don't you dare go out and help the PCs. Isn't that ironic? But anyways, I'm not going to dig deep into this. The people spoke, and I have no say in who people vote for.
Ford and Poilievre have been at odds for weeks now. Tensions grew when Ford's campaign manager, Corey Tonight, publicly criticized Poilievre's campaign for losing a significant lead in the polls, describing it as campaign malpractice at the highest level. For a closer look at the relationship between Ontario Premier Doug Ford and federal Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, we're now joined by CTV's political commentator, Scott Reid. Good to see you, Scott. I hope you got to sleep in after Monday's show. You did a great job, and we have a lot to talk about on this front. Some of this is coming after Conservative MP Jamil Javani accused accused Doug Ford of sabotaging Pierre Poilievre's campaign. What do you make of his remarks?
It's about 6 sorts of stupid. Like, it's an astonishing thing that the Conservatives, the federal Conservatives, Pierre Poilievre, could blow a 26-point lead, end up losing the election, the leader, Pierre Poilievre, loses his own seat, and Jamil Jabani's priority on election night isn't to think, all right, how do we improve our fortunes? How do we widen the appeal of our party? What did we not do right? What do we need to do better? No, it's let's unleash a civil war with the total lack of discipline that you can possibly imagine. But let's unleash a civil war with the Ontario Conservatives. Let's aim at not just Doug Ford, but also Tim Houston, two premiers who have successfully gotten elected and gotten reelected. That is an awfully strange way to take a lesson and to figure out how to move forward.
You know, there are a lot of Conservative insiders who will criticize Corey tonight and the Premier for speaking out against Pierre Poilievre in the middle of a campaign. What do you say to that, Scott?
Suck it up, Buttercup. Like, you know, this is politics. Sometimes people are going to criticize you. And you know that, frankly, you've done nothing, if you're the federal Conservatives and Pierre Poilievre, to forge ties with the Ford Conservatives. Done absolutely nothing. You know, that was Doug Ford's response. He's getting asked a question, and he just pointed out, well, you know, there was just an Ontario election campaign, and the instruction was to not lend assistance from the federal Conservatives to the provincial Conservatives. So, I mean, this opens up an obvious rift. And, you know, you can like or not like what Corey tonight said, but the challenge with the campaign that they ran federally is that it lost. It lost. And you can expect when you lose that people are going to point fingers, or when you're losing, people are going to point fingers. That's life in the big city. And so the lesson you take is not to have a baby needs a bottle tantrum in public. It's to fix an appointment with the mirror, ask yourself what you've done wrong, think about how you can do better, and move forward. And Jamil Jabani just looks like a child having a tantrum. And mixing it up with Doug Ford, rather than saying, all right, what's the plan going forward? How do I show my constituents? How do I show voters that I'm focused on what matters most to them? No, you don't look like you are focused on voters. You look like you're focused on settling scores politically within your own party. It's unbelievably immature, undisciplined, and flat out stupid.
Doug Ford, no secret, very popular premier in Ontario. Some would say that his comments could have hurt the federal Conservatives, yet they made significant gains in Ontario, Scott. How do you make sense of that?
Well, I think that the federal Conservative campaign made some smart adjustments in the final 10 days. You know, they took Pierre Poilievre out of their ads. They focused heavily on men, especially older men. We saw the ads with, you know, the dudes golfing. And they put Stephen Harper in the window. They made the sorts of adjustments that they needed to in order to scrape back enough votes in Ontario. Not that they can win a majority of seats, but at least that they didn't get hammered and they denied the Liberals a majority. But you do have to put it in context. They were ahead by 26 points. You couldn't find a breathing soul in Canada who didn't think Pierre Poilievre was a lock to be prime minister. And they frittered that away. They couldn't make an adjustment to a new prime minister. They couldn't make an adjustment to dealing with Donald Trump, and they lost the election. Now, they're going to have another shot because it's a minority, but they're not going to do very well with that opportunity if they spend all their time firing inward at other Conservatives rather than focusing on how they can win over new voters.
I want to talk about the future of the Conservative Party of Canada for a moment here, Scott. A lot of people have their eyes on Pierre Poilievre's political future. He's committed to staying on. Do you think Doug Ford is interested in entering that race if it ever happens?
No, I really don't. I don't. And, you know, I've seen people speculate, trying to ascribe that motive. But, speaking of Corey tonight, his campaign manager, I was with Corey tonight at a public event. He was asked this. He literally spit his drink out and said, listen, I can't get Doug Ford to leave Etobicoke. All he wants to do is split his time between diners in Etobicoke and downtown Toronto, and that's it. The idea that he would want to steamroll his way across the country, campaign in northern Manitoba and southern New Brunswick, no, that's not what's behind this. So I really don't subscribe to that conspiracy theory. I don't think that's what's going on. I don't think he's going to take a run at the job. And by the way, I don't think Pierre Poilievre is going to lose his job as leader.
You think he's staying on, eh?
I think on election night, he couldn't have made it more clear. The way he responded to the loss was to declare that he was going nowhere, that this was a win delayed, not denied. And I think that was a signal to his own troops saying, if you're going to come for me, if you're going to come for the king, you better shoot for the head, because I'm sticking around. And so far, we've seen no one willing to take up that fight. I don't think we will. He has too much control over the party.
So that's the end of the video, everybody. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments about any of the topics that were brought forward. Doug Ford, what he's saying about it, what the media's saying that he's saying about it, about the separatism, about Alberta, and now Saskatchewan seemingly on board with this idea. History could actually be made this year, not just with this election, but with the separatist movement. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts down below. That's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in another video. Bye for now. Also, developers in Alberta, please contact me. Again, I'm very serious. Bye-bye.